All right, let's dive into Artemis Pebdani's weight loss. We're going beyond the surface level here, folks. It's super interesting because, Artemis, she's such a vibrant personality on screen, but this is all about what she's been doing off screen and, what we can all learn from it.
Yeah, it's definitely a different side of her, right? We see her playing all these larger-than-life characters, and now we're kind of getting a glimpse into this personal journey of hers, focusing on her health.
So, okay, where do we even start? The article doesn't give us like a clear timeline or anything, but it definitely seems like Artemis, like a lot of us, reached that point where she just decided health had to be the priority.
It makes sense. I mean, think about it. The demands of her career, those crazy long hours on set.
Oh, yeah. And then, the whole thing of being in the public eye. It's got to be tough to keep up a healthy lifestyle with all of that.
For sure, it's easy to let all that stuff kind of take over. But what I found really interesting was the article emphasizing that this wasn't about, some outside pressure.
Right.
Hey.
Not about fitting into some, like, Hollywood mold or something.
Exactly. It wasn't about any of that.
So then, what was it about? What was driving her to make this transformation?
Well, it seems like it was all about, just feeling healthier, having more energy, and that boost in confidence. The article really framed it as self-care,
Such a good point.
which I think is so important.
Yeah, definitely a much healthier and like sustainable way to look at it
Yeah,
than, just chasing some ideal look. Right?
absolutely.
So how'd she actually go about this? Was there a specific diet she was on?
The article doesn't get into specifics about, like, an exact diet plan or anything.
Uh-huh.
But it does give us some hints about some, smart approaches she might have used. Like, instead of doing some crazy calorie cutting or eliminating entire food groups or whatever,
Right.
she may have focused on portion control.
Oh, interesting.
Like maybe using smaller plates or pre-portioning her snacks, little things like that to be more mindful.
Those small tweaks can really add up, though.
Oh, totally. It's all about those sustainable changes you can actually stick with.
So it sounds like she ditched the whole I'm on a diet thing and just focused on making healthier choices in general.
Yeah, exactly.
What about exercise? Was she like hitting the gym super hard?
Well, we don't get the details about her exact workout routine, but it sounds like she had a pretty balanced approach.
Okay.
Probably a mix of things. Maybe some cardio, like walking or jogging.
Yeah,
Maybe some strength training, to build muscle and boost metabolism.
makes sense.
And who knows, maybe she even did things like yoga or Pilates for flexibility and, to manage stress.
I like that.
Yeah.
It's not just about burning calories, but the whole package. Right.
Yeah.
Physical and mental well-being.
Exactly.
Did she ever mention, like, facing any specific challenges, like anything that made her consider using medication for weight loss?
That's interesting. The article actually states that she hasn't said anything about using medication. It seems like all of this has been through those lifestyle changes.
Huh. That's pretty encouraging.
Yeah, isn't it?
Shows that for a lot of people, eating healthy and regular exercise, it really can be enough to reach those weight loss goals. But let's be real, sometimes even with the best intentions, it's tough, right?
Yeah.
To make those lifestyle changes stick.
Absolutely, you're right. And for some people, especially folks with underlying health conditions, medication can be a really helpful tool.
Right, of course.
The article even mentions medications like GLP-1 receptor agonists. They've gotten pretty
I've
popular.
heard those, yeah.
But it's so important to remember, any decision about medication should always be made with a doctor,
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've talked about diet, exercise, medication, but there's this other huge piece we haven't really touched on.
You mean the mindset part?
Yeah, exactly. The mental and emotional side of it. It's so huge. So I'm curious, what do you think about how Artemis might have approached that side of her journey?
Well, the article definitely highlights that mindset piece, and it makes me think Artemis shifted her focus away from self-criticism and towards self-care.
That's a really important distinction. So instead of getting down on herself about, past choices or focusing on what she saw as imperfections, she took a more, I guess, compassionate, supportive approach.
Yeah, like embracing herself for who she is.
I think that's so interesting, and I'm really excited to dig into that more.
Me too. It's definitely something people don't talk about enough.
So that's a perfect place to transition into the next part of our deep dive.
Yeah.
We'll really unpack the power of mindset and how it helps make lasting changes.
It's pretty amazing how Artemis's story changes how we think about weight loss. Like, it's not about punishing yourself or trying to be this perfect ideal, It's about making these little changes that stick with you. It's like that saying, A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step.
And it sounds like Artemis really took that to heart, huh? Focusing on those healthy habits instead of the quick fixes and the extreme stuff.
Yeah, totally. It's about finding a lifestyle that works for you, for your body and your mind. Instead of like constantly fighting cravings and feeling deprived, she probably just focused on adding more good stuff to her diet.
That makes sense.
Good.
But I'm curious, if you're not like fixated on the number on the scale, how do you even know if you're making progress?
Well, that's a really good point. The scale, it's just one piece of the puzzle, right? It doesn't tell you everything. When you start paying attention to how you feel, that's when you notice those little changes. Maybe you've got more energy during the day, your clothes fit better, or you just feel good, more comfortable.
So it's less about obsessing over that number and more about how your body's actually reacting to the healthy choices.
Exactly. And that can be a really powerful thing. It lets you celebrate those little victories, the ones that aren't about the scale. Sometimes those are even more motivating.
I can see that. It's more sustainable, right? You're not fighting yourself all the time. You're working with your body, listening to it. But okay, let's be real. There are going to be times when it's tough to stay motivated. You hit those setbacks. Maybe you even start wondering if it's even worth it. How do you deal with that?
That's where the mindset stuff comes in. And that's what's so cool about Artemis's story. She really seems to have taken this approach of being kind to herself.
So instead of like beating herself up for messing up or feeling like she failed, she turned those experiences into like learning moments.
Yeah, exactly. And that's such a powerful way to look at it. Instead of thinking, oh, I messed up, I should quit. She's like, okay, this is a chance to learn and figure out what I can do differently.
So it's about like building that resilience, being able to bounce back without losing sight of the goal. But I'm wondering, how do you actually get that kind of mindset? Are you just born with it, or can you actually like work on it?
That's a question I get a lot. And while some people might naturally be more positive, the good news is that mindset is something you can like train. It's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
So how do you exercise that mindset muscle? What are some things people can actually do to be more supportive of themselves and build that resilience, especially when it comes to weight loss?
There are a few things that can help. One is to really pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Notice those negative thoughts that pop up and try to challenge them.
Okay.
So instead of thinking, I messed up, I'm a failure, try saying something like, okay, this didn't go as planned, but what can I learn from it,
So you're basically replacing those negative thoughts with more positive, helpful ones.
Exactly. And another good thing to try is practicing gratitude. Take a few minutes every day to think about the things you're grateful for, the big things and the little things. It could be your health, your family and friends, even just a good meal.
It's easy to forget all the good stuff when you're focused on what's going wrong.
It really is. Focusing on gratitude can help you shift your perspective and be more appreciative. And that can make it a lot easier to handle the ups and downs that come with trying to lose weight.
Okay, so we've got reframing setbacks, challenging negative self-talk, practicing gratitude. What else can people do to strengthen that mindset?
Another big one is finding ways to manage stress.
Yeah, stress can really throw a wrench in things.
It totally can. Stress can make you want to eat unhealthy things and make it harder to stick to an exercise routine.
So it's not just about the food and exercise, it's the whole mental and emotional picture too.
100%. And there are so many ways to manage stress, like spending time in nature, listening to music, meditation, yoga, or anything that makes you happy and helps you relax.
It's about those self-care things, the things that are good for your mind and soul, not just your body.
Yes. And the key is to find what works for you, what helps you de-stress, what makes you feel calm and peaceful.
It's all about finding those tools and strategies to help you stay grounded, especially when life gets crazy. Because let's be honest, life throws a lot at us. It's how we deal with those curveballs that really matters.
Couldn't agree more. And that brings us to a pretty big question, something I think is worth thinking about.
We've talked about so much, Artemis's journey with food and exercise and how she seems to have really embraced that whole self-care thing. It's pretty inspiring.
Yeah, and it really challenges that whole idea that weight loss has to be this brutal all-or-nothing battle.
Right.
She shows us it can be about making those small changes, the ones that you can actually keep up with, the ones that make you feel better overall.
It's like she's giving us permission to ditch that whole diet mindset and think about it in a more balanced way,
Yeah.
Taking care of our minds and our bodies.
And it makes you think, right? Like, if Artemis can do it, with her crazy busy schedule and being in the spotlight and all that, what's stopping the rest of us?
It's a good question. I mean, we all have our excuses, right? I'm too busy, I don't have the willpower, it's too hard. But Artemis kind of proves those excuses wrong.
Yeah, for sure. It shows that change is possible, no matter what your situation is.
So what would you say to someone listening who's feeling inspired, who wants to start their own journey towards a healthier lifestyle? What's that first step, that one small thing they can do today?
I'd say pick one specific thing that you can actually do, something that speaks to you. Maybe it's taking a 15-minute walk every day.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Or swapping out like sugary drinks for water. Or even just taking 5 minutes each morning to breathe deeply, be mindful. The important thing is to make it something you can actually stick with.
It's about starting small, building that momentum, and those little wins, they really keep you going.
Exactly. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
I love that.
This is a journey, not a race. There will be bumps along the way, but just keep going, even if it's just one tiny step at a time.
That's such a good reminder. Artemis Pebdani's story, it's a reminder for all of us, taking care of ourselves. It's not about trying to be someone we're not. It's about making those choices that are good for us, inside and out, and that make our lives better, richer, and just more and more fulfilling.